What's up, guys? If you think your backlog is not big enough because you have a sales problem, you could be missing some of the essential revenue drivers in your service business. And I'm going to unpack that in the next few minutes here. But before I start unpacking it, I want to talk about a few success stories that I've had over the years, specifically one where I came into the territory, I had 3 technicians, and there were no post-job proposals happening. Now, a post-job proposal is ultimately a proactive recommendation that we give the customer when we leave the site. So we're not just going up there fixing leaks and expecting the customer to call us the next time it fails. That's not proactive mindset. That's a reactive mindset. We're providing post-job proposals to give them recommendations based upon something we call act as if. Now, let's fast forward. What I was able to do is to bring in $30,000 to $40,000 consistently for 6 straight months without any new sales cultivation, just finding additional work, bringing it to our customer, and proactively educating them about problems that they already had on their roof. These customers didn't want to deal with more roof leaks. They didn't want to call me when a roof leak happened. They wanted us to be the eyes, hands, and ears up there. And implementing these post-job proposals literally brought back over $250,000 in revenue that my sales rep didn't find, my service technicians found. So this is just one of those 5 revenue drivers. Now, the second one that we got is on-site upsells. So what happened was we were running a good amount of jobs, but we were stagnant on the NTE that the customer was giving us. We were stagnant at $750,000 in revenue. So what happened is we implemented on-site upsells. So when we got on site and we had a small NTE, we would then request a NTE for a bigger amount because we found more stuff that needed to be done, because we weren't just going up there and temping for the NTE we had. Well, we were looking around. We were the eyes, hands, and ears that our customer needed us to be on site. I'll tell you, one of the biggest successes that I had for on-site upsells is when we went on top of a roof. It was an EPDM roof where the gutter was pulling off. It wasn't correctly attached to begin with. Now, my crew could have went up there and just put some cover strip on top of the EPDM roof and called it a day, but we went above and beyond, and we found that the gutter wasn't properly secured to the building. It turned into a $54,000 project, on-site, approved, for something that was incorrectly installed years ago. Now, that's one of my biggest successes, but it's so easy to talk about because this was just acting as if we were doing what we would do if it was our building, and it literally skyrocketed the company to north of $3 million in service sales in as little as 20 months. One of my biggest successes coming in and implementing. So when we talk about the 5 service revenue drivers, and this is what most contractors miss, is that they think backlog comes from sales, and sales should be selling, and we don't have a big enough backlog because of sales. We'll talk more about that, but I'm going to give you the 5 right now. First one is on-site upsells, right? So getting more while we're on site. Second one is post-job proposals, giving proactive recommendations after the job is done. Now, we'll talk about the perfect proposal in a second, but maximizing proposals. There's work that you guys can do that is simple as painting gas lines, installing roof hatch railings, non-penetrating roof hatch railings, or just skylight cages, different things to be able to help our customers. Now, I only talked about one part of what those perfect proposals look like, but there are tens of thousands of dollars on every single roof where we can be a trusted advisor helping that client better manage that roof. Scaling your clients, which means getting more from your clients and not making them spend more, but getting more of the money they're already spending. And then finally, growing new clients. And too many times I see contractors thinking about, we need more customers, we need more. And the fact is, they're not looking internally before they start looking externally. So let's talk about on-site upsells. So the idea here is that you guys can invoice more than what the original amount that was given to you guys. We need to find additional issues that will cause leaks or cause issues over the next 6 months. It's truly that simple. Act as if this was your building. Are we really going to walk away from some of the debris that's causing the drains to be able to not drain properly, the fasteners that are backing out, or some of the sealants on the penetrations that are missing? There are so many things that we can do to be able to help leave the building better than when we showed up. So don't be a reactive contractor that literally just goes up there and does the bare minimum. Now, the problems that I see with this is that upsells are meant to be small, simple, slap you in the face, easy things to complete. And we're going too big. And when you go too big, it gets pushed into give me a proposal, or I'll look at the budget and see what's happening. It's way too big. It also screws up schedules. Too many times I hear objections to say, no, we don't do that because it messes your schedule up. On-site upsells should not mess your schedule up. That's the big, big thing. And then missing them all together because you're like, you know what? The client's not going to do this anyway. That is some of the biggest beliefs that you have to break if you want to be successful. So when you start implementing that, the impact can be anywhere from $100,000 to $500,000 inside additional revenue based upon the number of jobs you run, right? So think about this. If you think about every job that you guys have ran in a calendar year, every time material ticket, and now multiply it by $300, just a $300 increase, and you'll be insanely amazed at the money that you guys are leaving on the roof, right? And plus, it leaves you as that trusted advisor. Your clients know that you're looking out for them and you're not just another typical contractor that's going to go up there, fix a leak, and then wait for it to leak again. Now, number two is post-job proposals. The client wants to know what's going on this roof. They don't want to deal with issues. No one wakes up in the morning and says, well, I hope I have a roof leak, or it's raining, the roof is going to leak. They don't want that world. So help them get out of that world. Most clients are stuck being reactive and don't know how to be proactive. That is our job. As a professional roofer, as a trusted advisor, our job is to be able to bring those proactive recommendations that are going to stop leaks from happening inside the future. We call it act as if, right? Act as if this is your roof. Act as if this is your building. Would you really get off the roof and not do anything about it? That mindset can change businesses when you put it inside place. Now, a few of the common pitfalls that I see. Number one, oh, this client will never buy that. They're cheap. Don't ever assume that, because if you're acting with integrity, let the client make the right or wrong decision based upon the information you give them. If you never give them the information, they'll never have the opportunity to make the right decision. Don't be that individual, thinking that you don't have time to do it, right? Or they don't have time to do it. Get that out of your mind. Provide good information where they can make good decisions, and don't make these too big. The bigger that you make these is the more likely it's going to say, yeah, we'll push this in the budget. We'll push this later on. I'll see if we can get a capital budget for this. These post-job proposals are not meant to be massive proposals. They're meant to be small proactive items that the customer can do to be able to help prolong the life of the roof and reduce leaks. So don't make those mistakes. Now, we're going to have to cut this up. Now, the impact of post-job proposals is that it can add millions of dollars. So again, take those same jobs that you ran, all jobs that you ran, and times it by $2,500. If you could just sell $2,500, right? That's going to give you tens of millions of dollars. Then take your close percentages. I'll give you guys a cool link that'll automatically calculate this for you. It's worth millions, trust me. And it creates a backlog of high margin work because you guys are selling contracts. Contracts are naturally much higher than what you would get from any type of time and material ticket. So the impacts of this are massive when it comes to profitability, massive when it comes to backlog, and massive when it comes to customer satisfaction. Now, increasing your proposal size. So many times this comes off as a negative. Increasing the size of your proposal does not mean making your customer spend more. Cost and value are two completely different things. So there are 5 areas within the perfect proposal that you guys can execute. So let's talk through it. Number 1, roofing. Obvious, right? We're looking at the membrane. Sheet metal, a little bit more obvious, but sometimes it's overlooked. Now let's go into waterproofing. Right? Are you guys looking at waterproofing issues? Because when water comes in, all of a sudden, now we're looking at the waters on the floor. Well, it's not from the roof. What's going on? A lot of contractors can address waterproofing without having issues. How about safety? Can you guys put in a non-penetrating roof hatch? Can you paint gas lines yellow? Can you screw skylight cages? Well, if so, those are $5,000 to $10,000 worth of work and safety obligations by OSHA or by anybody up on that roof. Again, give your client good information to make good decisions. So as you work through all of this, and after safety comes interior, I forgot that one, that's your 5th one. A lot of buildings, interior insulation. Once that insulation gets wet, now it's moldy, now it's all kinds of different things. I made tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars working on the interior side and doing something as simple as replacing ceiling tiles for Chick-fil-A turns into tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of additional work that we can do just from understanding that there are 5 parts of what that perfect proposal looks like. So, number 1, most common thing, overlooking safety. Guys, we see it every single day. We go up there and we think about safety for ourselves. And if there's anything that we have to think about for ourselves, we should be thinking about it for anybody who steps on that roof. Not thinking about the interior. Your customer's life does not go back to normal until the interior is fixed. Just because you went up on the roof and you fixed the roof doesn't change anything on the interior. The ceiling tiles are still collapsed. The walls are still destroyed. The carpet is still wet. Not telling you to go in there and be an interior contractor, but what interior things can you help with? How many times have I gotten a recall where it's the same stained ceiling tile that they never changed out? We have the ability to fix that. And then missing waterproofing. Waterproofing is a very simple thing that we can implement into our business that allow us to be able to understand there's more that we can do as a contractor. Because at the end of the day, when water shows up on the floor, who is it that they call? They call you and I and saying, hey, I got a roof leak. Now, capturing this is easily above 3.7 million. 3.7 is the average dollar amount that is left on the roof because we're not doing these things. We are not looking at our post-job proposals. We're not looking at maximizing our proposals. Now, you guys can do more work if you're not doing safety, if you're not doing waterproofing or interior. Now you're expanding your services. Think of all the stuff that you can capture when you tell your customer, hey, you know, we can actually do more than roofing. Now, when we talk about increasing customer value, your customers are spending more than enough money every single year in roofing. Trust me on that. Every customer that you have within your CRM or within your database, if you took every penny that they spent just on roofing, not going to waterproofing, safety, anything else, just on roofing, it is more than enough to absolutely blow your goals out of the water. The problem is they're not spending that money with you or your company. So understanding what your share of wallet is, how much money is being allocated to you versus allocated to other contractors. That's a very simple way that we can understand what is the value of this account and should we go after it, right? Should we continue to scale it? Should we maintain it? Or do we got to get to work? Talk about a property manager, CBRE, right? Do you work with CBRE? How many contractors tell me, yes, I work with CBRE, but then to find out they work with 2 of the 25 property managers up there. Sorry, you don't work with CBRE, you work with 2 property managers out of 25. We got work to do. These are the things that we can dive in to be able to understand how to get the most out of your customers' spend and understand how much of that is coming to you guys. So what's the most common things that are missed? Not knowing what your customer spends. That's number one. Your customer has a budget. And if they don't have a budget, they're a reactive customer. And at that point, it becomes extremely hard. We can influence it, but extremely hard to be able to forecast in a reactive mindset. They're unsure of their share of wallet. Right? You should know what your percentage is that they spend with you. They spend $100,000 and you invoiced $30,000 to them last year. Looks like you got 30% share of wallet. What are we doing with that? And then finally, assuming that your customer only calls you. They call me every single time. I'm the only customer that they use. Don't ever assume that because all it takes is one phone call at the right time. And now all of a sudden another contractor's up on your roof inspecting it. I know this because this was part of the plan when we were hustling and growing, right? Getting new customers. That's how all this was running. So when you guys get this right, you're going to add millions of dollars of revenue instantly to your business. And I know this because we've done this with well over 50, 75 contractors where we went in, looked at their book of business and understood that there were millions of dollars that they were leaving on the table because they were targeting the wrong people. They were targeting going after new customers and not looking at their existing book of business. So knowing exactly how much your customer is spending allows you to be able to allocate the right amount of time. They only spend $10,000 a year and the other customer spends $1 million a year. Now you can put your sales reps on the right path to be able to hit goals and for you guys to be able to hit goals for what you want within your company. And then finally able to capture more share of wallet because now when we got a strategic plan, now we can execute on it. We can make it happen. The final part, driver number 5, is adding new customers to your business. Now, the one thing that I'll tell you when you're talking about adding new customers to your business is if you talk to everybody, you talk to nobody, which means there's incorrect targeting. You guys don't know what you're going after. You walk into an industrial park and you're saying, hey, I'm going to go find somebody new, or I'm going to sell something within this city or town. There are so many different business models when it comes to a restaurant, to a hospital, to a nuclear plant. Those are 3 completely different worlds, and you will never work at a nuclear plant if you've never had anything that's even getting close to that type of exposure before. You have to work into those areas. Same goes for restaurants and a hospital. They want to understand social proof. They want to know that you guys are knowing what you're doing. You guys already have clients. You already guys have a niche. So let's start talking about those specific peoples that we need to target, right? And then making customers or finding customers, right, that need to do the work. Don't ever assume that. Your customer does not need to do the work until it affects their business enough that they have to spend money on it. There's ways to be able to specifically identify this. So when we focus about the 5 revenue drivers, on-site upsells, post-job proposals, maximizing those proposals, we talked about that perfect proposal checklist. Scaling your clients, understanding share of wallet, and then growing clients, very strategic targets. So you guys know exactly how you differentiate yourself against every other roofer because you're an expert in what you do. When you put these 5 revenue drivers in place, it diversifies the amount of revenue that's coming in, not only inside millions, but it also takes a lot of the weight off the sales team because you should have more opportunities from your existing technicians, your existing service team, than what your sales team is bringing in. Think about that. It's a bit of a mind shift. The true cost of missing these drivers is simple. It's millions of dollars inside revenue. Your clients are spending the money, they're just not spending it to you. And if we're not proactively helping them change their mindset from reactive to proactive and giving them good information to make good decisions, you guys are going to have unsatisfied clients. You're going to have internal chaos and disorganization, no backlog, and your predictable growth, well, plan on hoping that it's going to rain because you need work. That's not how you run a service division. That's not how you're going to be able to predictably scale it, add people, and add vans. So when you start using the 5 drivers here, you're going to start getting into that 7 and 8 figure service division because your customers are going to love using you and they're going to push more to you. Your closing rates are going to skyrocket because when you know who you're talking to and you got value in what you're delivering, you're no longer bidding on low dollar and trying to win jobs based upon price. Predictable revenue comes with good information. If you know your clients are spending $1 million a year and you know that you're going to get 50% of that share of wallet, now we got predictable income. Our actions will give us our results. Customers will rave about you. That's a beautiful thing because now they're telling you about somebody else. And when they tell you about somebody else, look at that. That's almost a 6th revenue driver. Now we got referrals that are coming in, right? And you and your sales team aren't doing anything. It's just what your service team is operating. And then finally, your employees are going to understand how they contribute. That's a huge, huge part. Everybody is a part of sales. Everybody. Now, are you selling contracts? Are you getting contracts signed? No, but we're definitely creating post-job proposals, on-site NTE increases. They're helping find. They're the eyes, hands, and ears up on the roof, right? We need that perfect proposal. We need to know if there's safety issues or waterproofing issues or interior issues, because again, that's all driving backlog and revenue to the business. My name's Chad Westbrook, and for the last 20 years, this is what I've done. If you can't tell that I've been in the business, growing service divisions into these multi-million-dollar businesses that are still operating today and servicing some of the largest businesses inside the United States, guys, go check it out. I've led some of the largest service initiatives across the entire United States. I grew a national account division from 0 to $20 million, a little bit less than 20, within less than 5.5 years. And there's been some amazing companies that I've had the opportunity to be able to help them create the business that is scalable and predictable. That's what I do. Now, if you guys want to get on the path, if you guys want to start implementing those 5 revenue drivers, we help you do that. We'll help you figure out the bottlenecks within your division, within your people, because it's process, technology, better, easier, and faster, and then setting goals is where we get efficient. So if you guys are looking to be able to get into this 7 or 8 figure growth plan, I'll help you guys do that. Myself and David Bonney will sit down with you guys. We'll figure out what your path is and get you that solution roadmap so you guys got a clear identified objective of where you're going and how you're getting there. We'll identify those bottlenecks and we'll help you guys implement the 5 revenue drivers so you're not relying just on sales to create that backlog. There's a better, more consistent way to be able to do it, and we'll show you guys how to do it. So go ahead, click the button. Let's get into one of these meetings. It's 30 minutes. It's absolutely no cost, and I'll show you exactly how I've done this with hundreds of other businesses, commercial roofing contractors across the United States and even into Canada. See you guys.